So I'm going to tell you the 3 basic reasons why I feel like people who struggle with winged liner tend to do so, while others just have an easier time. So there's this fascination with how to get perfect winged eyeliner. The number of videos on YouTube will tell you how much of a fascination there is. And it's not just winged eyeliner, it's liquid winged eyeliner. It is so hard to achieve perfect winged eyeliner or just to get it right at all. So if you're like me and you have struggled and struggled and struggled with liquid winged eyeliner for whatever reason, it doesn't matter whatever reason it is, I'm going to give you 2 alternative looks. One has more precision than the other, and one is a little more smudged out, and that is the one that I have on. If you have hooded eyes, this one is the one you're going to want to go with, because you do not need precision whatsoever with this one, and you barely need any precision for the precise one. So I've been thinking about why people are so fascinated with winged eyeliner. And yes, it does give an eye lift. It gives almost a facelift. It looks really good. It makes an impact, and I mean, it looks kind of sexy. But it's just not a case of practice makes perfect. Sometimes you can just practice, 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 and you never seem to get it right. So maybe it's not us that's the problem. Maybe it's not you or me. Maybe it's the circumstances, our characteristics, the cards that we've been dealt that's the issue. Sometimes I can get the technique right, and then I look in the mirror and something just looks a little bit off. Sometimes I just can't get my eyes even. One looks way off from the other. Sometimes I just can't get it right at all. And sometimes I nail it. I get the winged liner down perfectly, but then it takes me a dozen more times before I can do it again. There are so many people out there who struggle all the time and think something's wrong with them. They've never known that there is another way to get as much of an impact as they could get with winged liner, and could maybe take 2 to 3 minutes versus 20 or 25. So before we get into the more precise look, if you're not subscribed to this channel, please hit that subscribe button and become part of the family. Let's get into it. Unlike with a liquid liner, when you use a pencil or a brush, you don't have to be super exact, super precise, or have a really steady hand. For this demonstration, I'm going to use a shadow with a brush, but you can use either depending on your preference. I'll try and pop in a little picture of me doing it with a pencil too, so you can see that option. I usually prefer to use a shadow because it lasts longer throughout the day. Think about powder, how it holds in your liquid products. It's the same with powder eyeshadow. I'm going to have every product I use linked, and my preferences for my eyeliners, as well as the shadows I use to line with. When you're choosing your liner brush, I personally like to use an angled brush. You can start with a smaller angled brush or a larger one like so. Sometimes I'll start with a larger one because it gets the lash line a little bit easier and quicker, and then I'll refine it with the smaller one. But if you want to go with the smudging option that I'm going to show you, you really don't need to refine much of anything at all. The first thing you need to note is that you want to look straight ahead into your mirror and make sure that your brow is relaxed, because if it's not and you have any kind of a hood or a fold, you're not going to be able to see what it looks like if you have your brow going like this. So you definitely want to have your brow relaxed. And what you're going to do is kind of envision your lower lash line extending up into infinity. And that's what you're going to use as your guide. You can also place a business card or a credit card or tape or something here if you really need to. But once you get the hang of this, I don't think you're going to need to do that. You are just going to place a little tick or a flat line as if that lower lash line is extending into infinity. And that is it. And it may not be perfect, and that is okay. It doesn't have to be long at all. You can extend it later if you want to. For right now, that's all we're going to do. So when I close my eye, it looks like it's kind of long. When it's open, it doesn't really look that long at all, especially when I'm looking at you straight forward, because my eyes are kind of deep set and a little bit hooded, just moderately hooded. So now all I'm going to do is press this brush flat along my lash line until I meet that line. And the reason why we did that outer angled line first is so we didn't go down too far past the corner of our eye. What happens sometimes is if you line your lash line first, you can go down a little bit too far past the corner of your eye, and it makes your eye look like it's drooping down, and that's not what we want. So right now, this is what we have. It looks kind of funny. That's not what we're gonna end up with. So now if you want to, you can make that line a little bigger, but if you wanna keep it small, keep it small. I'm gonna make mine a little bit longer. It's really hard for me not to arch my brow at this step because I do have a slight fold that cuts that line. And this is where I might pull out that smaller brush. You don't have to do this. I just find it makes it a little bit easier for me. And if you find that when you're cutting that line, there's a gap there, all you're gonna do is fill it in. So now, when I look straight forward, we have this thing going on, and when I close my eye, it looks really long. I'm just gonna build this line up from the bottom, however high I want to. So that's all you have to do. And you have a modified wing that was super easy. You didn't need a steady hand. We're gonna take this a step further, but if you wanna stop it there and leave it there, it looks good. You don't need to do anything else to that line. I'm gonna do the other eye, and then I'm gonna show you another option to get even more impact out of what we just did. So our first step was the crooked line. The second step was lining our lash line, and the third step was building up. So this is your first option. Keep in mind I don't have mascara on yet. I did extend them a little bit when I did this eye. So you may not want to spend that extra 30 seconds making sure that top line is precise. Or you may be like me and have eyes that aren't quite even, or have eyes that are a little bit hooded and have a crease that comes down and makes your wing kind of wonky, like my left eye here. This option of this is the second eye option I'm going to give you that allows you not to be so precise. You can just kind of scribble that buildup on, then take a pencil brush into that same shadow and kind of trace over it a little bit. And we are just going to smudge it out and make it look kind of sultry and smoky, but yet still look like a wing. And this way, if you do have a hood going on, it won't really matter. And if you lined with a pencil for those first 3 steps, you're just going to take a shadow that matches your pencil in tone and dip a pencil brush in it and smudge it exactly like we're doing here. And that's also going to lock that pencil in for a really long time. And you can just use swirly motions, back and forth motions, whatever you want to use. If you don't really like using pencil brushes, you can also use a firm shader type of brush to do this. And sometimes I find that that's a little bit quicker. If you find you want to build up that color a little bit more close to your lash line, you can do that, but you definitely don't have to. And if you want to make the bottom look a little bit more precise, you can just put a neutral shadow or concealer and clean up that bottom area a little bit. See how that looks just kind of smoky and kind of cool? And you can really go to town with this if you want. I mean, you can build that up a lot more. I just think it looks kind of cool and sultry. You can put shimmer on your lid. You can leave it plain, whatever you want to do. It's just such a great option for those of you who feel like you really can't get that wing. You have hooded eyes or deep set eyes and you just can't get it. This gives you a way without having to be precise. And I'll just emphasize that I always start building up from the bottom. You don't want to go too high up to start, just gradual, kind of little circular motions from the bottom, and then I'll start doing it in sweeping motions. But again, it's not too precise. And what's so great about this is you really can't mess up. I mean, if you find you're uneven from one eye to another, just build it up a little bit more on the other, or take a neutral shadow and tone down your lid a little bit. I mean, you can't go wrong. Whereas if you're dealing with liquid liner, you're going back in with concealer, and just having to do all kinds of corrections. This just saves you so much time. Okay, I've put mascara on just so you could see the final effect. This is the side where we smudged the pencil before we smudged the shadow over it, and this is the side where it's all shadow. I think this side looks a little bit deeper, but you get the gist of it. You can do it either way, and the effect is really beautiful. You don't have to have the perfect eye shape. You don't have to have a steady hand. It's very quick to do when you're not talking and giving instruction on it. I've timed it before. It takes less than a minute per eye, and it just looks really pretty. You can wear bolder eyeshadow with it if you want, but you don't need to. So I'm going to tell you the 3 basic reasons why I feel like people who struggle with winged liner tend to do so, while others just have an easier time. So reason number 1 has to do with eye shape. If you have downturned, deep set, hooded or uneven eyes, you're typically going to have a harder time mastering winged liner than someone who has a perfect almond shaped or upturned eye. That is just the way it is. You typically see winged eyeliner videos geared towards these eye types because those are the ones that have the struggles. And here's another type of eye or eye situation that doesn't get mentioned a lot, but it is an issue. If you have very thin, sparse lashes or on certain colorings and ages, winged liner can look pretty harsh. So doing winged liner and mascara is just not gonna be enough. You're gonna need some false lashes to counteract the harshness of the winged liner, which is going to add to the time factor. And it probably is another reason why you're doing your winged liner and it just doesn't really look right. And it can take you a little bit longer if you're having to do false lashes. So number 2 is the tool itself. Liquid eyeliner, gel eyeliner, there's just more precision involved than if you're using a shadow or a pencil to line. And there's a lot of people out there that just don't have steady hands no matter what their age is. And I know as I'm getting older, my eyesight is getting worse. Having to mess with liquid liner that sets really quickly is just not always optimal. Liquid and gel eyeliner is just not as forgiving as using a shadow or a pencil. If you do have an unsteady hand, you get a little bit shaky, you mess up, you are gonna have to use either a concealer or a makeup remover or something to correct it, and that just adds to the time factor. And that is my reason number 3, is it is more time consuming. So when I choose to wear liquid liner, and this is a personal thing, I am usually getting ready for a special occasion, which I have also already allotted extra time for. So if I choose to wear liquid liner to that special occasion, I'm gonna have to add even more time. And I am one of those people that when I wear liquid liner, I have to wear false lashes because my eyes are downturned. I have very thin, sparse lashes, and my coloring, it just lends itself to needing that extra impact of the lashes. So I'm having to add in a lot of extra time to get ready when I am wearing liquid winged eyeliner. And I just don't always have that extra 20-30 minutes to add into my getting ready time. So like I said, maybe it's not you. Maybe it's not that you just suck at it and can't get it right. It could just be any one of those circumstances. So I wanted to show you a couple of ways where you could actually get the impact of a liquid winged eyeliner look, but you could get it done quicker and easier without the frustration and just not have to deal with the liquid part of it. Some of you may know this already. You may be doing this and that's great. But for those of you who have been doing it and who do know about it, there are tons of you who don't. And if you're one of those people, I hope this helped you out a little bit. If it did, I would love it if you would give this video a thumbs up. It does help me out. And subscribe to my channel if you like getting everyday beauty tips that help make your life a little bit easier. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.